Hello everyone, I'm the Enforcer, and welcome to the breaking news. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and support us on Patreon, link in the description below. Today's breaking news is that a Russian drone has exploded inside of Poland, and Polish authorities have begun a search. We were able to get information just several hours ago that near to the small border town of Tyszewicz, on the Polish side of the Ukrainian-Polish border, a Russian drone has impacted the ground and has exploded. We are assuming at this point it is most likely a Shahed 136 drone, as these are the most cheap and numerous kinds of drones that the Russian Federation has used throughout the entirety of the war. According to information that we've been able to receive from multiple sources, it does appear that the Polish are beginning a search for the debris of the drone, so that way they can then make an analysis of the situation and find out more about why this attack occurred. According to the information that we have from Nexta, a UAV probably crashed into Polish territory during the Russian attack on Ukraine. During the massive attack on Ukraine, which took place on the morning of August 26, just hours ago, a yet unidentified object entered Polish airspace and apparently landed on Polish territory. This was stated by the operational command of the Polish army. It is reported it was not a missile. The head of the operational command, General Klisch, said that apparently it was an unmanned aerial vehicle. Presumably, it fell near the border town of Tyszewicz, and a search for the object is underway. We were able to get additional confirmation for this as well from another source, Inside NK, where they did state that Poland has confirmed a Russian suicide drone entered Polish airspace this morning during Russia's massive attack against Ukraine. Poland has sent soldiers out on a search pattern to go find the drone and then report back where it had impacted, the kind of drone it was, the kind of explosive yield it had, amongst many other additional pieces of information as well about the drone. This drone did explode a pretty decent ways inside of Poland. Tyszewicz is not that close to the border, and technically from the border crossing here in between Poland and Ukraine, which we could see right here, this little town, if it was to explode very close nearby, was an entire 17 miles inside of Poland. To put it into context, the deepest that the Ukrainians have made it into Russia in the Kursk offensive currently, which has been considered a massive breach of the Russian border, has been about approximately 23 miles, meaning that this little incident, if you want to call it little at all, was about as deep as the Ukrainian Kursk offensive has made it into Russia. It's a somewhat serious ordeal, and if this is the first time that a drone has ever exploded on Polish territory, we will be waiting to see what kind of a backlash or what kind of a response the Polish will give. Throughout the entirety of the war, we have seen that some drones have ended up exploding inside of Romania, but we have never seen an actual response. And considering that the Romanian and Polish governments have slightly different stances on the war in Ukraine and their responses, we're not entirely sure if the Polish are going to be very aggressive in a response against the Russian Federation for this drone violating their airspace, and not only that, exploding on the territory of Poland as well. We will largely have to wait and see what kind of response they get, because we do understand that the Polish are openly unfriendly against the Russian Federation and the Republic of Belarus. But we do not know if this is going to extend onwards into outright direct actions against the Russian Federation and Belarus, either economically or militarily. We also have to consider that the United States of America is most likely in the background, trying to once again curtail any Polish response that may be given. And so for this reason, we may see that nothing major comes out of this, but nevertheless, it is a serious incident, considering that this Russian drone did not just land a mile or 2 miles into Poland, it landed 17 miles. Roughly inside of Polish airspace. A major breach, and not only that, a clear violation of Polish national sovereignty. And this came right on the cusp of a massive drone and missile attack that did occur last night, as Russia has once again tried to target Ukraine's energy grid, knocking out vital energy systems. For example, this dam that is at the very bottom of the Sea of Kyiv, which we can see in this clip, was hit and damaged by incoming Russian fire. We see them observing the damage, once again showing that it's pretty extensive. And we were able to see in another clip as well, more damage that had been caused by the missile that exploded onto this reservoir. Ukrainian air defense was hard at work last night, shooting down a large number of missiles and drones, but it appears that they were not able to shoot down all of them, and some of them were able to make it to their target and cause significant damage, much like we're seeing right here. Another missile that was apparently targeted towards this dam ended up being shot down, and its remnants, or really the intact missile, ended up slamming into the Sea of Kiev near to the dam, and we can see that clip right here.
Ось все, пошла, диви. Ебать его в рот. Пизда. Ебать його, сука, в жопу. Бля. Пизда.
A pretty serious incident for sure, and once again showing that the Russians are trying to continue their acts to pretty much completely cripple the Ukrainians and stop them from having a usable energy grid, which would greatly impact the civilian population, putting a heavy strain on the Ukrainian government, and can also jeopardize or severely injure the war effort inside of Ukraine as well. We'll be trying to get a better analysis in the upcoming days about what kind of damage was actually caused by the Russian Federation's attack overnight on Ukraine, but it does appear that it was a very large one, and even with the Ukrainian air defense trying to intercept as many of the incoming air targets as possible, it doesn't appear that it was completely successful. Moving on from that and on to Kursk, we did also get to see that within the Kursk region, apparently the Wagner never arrived in Kursk. This is something that we've been stating on this channel for a while now, because we've never really gotten official confirmation or word for that matter that Wagner ever arrived inside of the Kursk Oblast to help with the defense of Kursk. And according to information that we now have, the Wagner group itself claims to no longer be fighting in Ukraine. Wagner mercenaries are operating only in Belarus and Africa and are not fighting alongside the Russian army in Ukraine, the Wagner group claimed in a statement on Telegram on the 26th of August, as of today. This means that the Russians never were able to count on the Wagner reinforcements that were arriving into the Kursk Oblast, or at least supposedly were going to be arriving in the Kursk Oblast, and for this reason, this once again may have led the Russians to have a severe lack of manpower as they realized that the Wagner was never going to arrive, and they desperately had to find another way or another form of manpower to be moved into the area as quickly as possible to try and stop the Kursk offensive from moving on in the kind of direction and speed that it has been for some time. It's also interesting to note that the Wagner made specific mention that they are in Belarus and Africa only. This is a very interesting statement for Wagner to make, as it does lead us to believe that the Wagner forces may be with the Belarusians in the Gomel area built up along the border, and may be helping to fortify or strengthen the Belarusian armed forces, or to ensure that they are more loyal to the central government through fear of reprisals that could be coming down the line any minute or at some point in the future. We'll be trying to find out more information about that as well. Today's stories are coming out and they're pretty much fresh off the press, so we don't have a lot of deep information to go on for each of them, but we are starting to see the beginning of many new stories and many new different paths that the story is taking so far in the Ukraine war, like with the Wagner and what they're doing, and with the massive attack that occurred on Ukraine overnight, and of course the massive attack that we saw near the Kyiv hydroelectric power plant. And not only that, the explosions that occurred near Tychowicz inside of Poland as yesterday as well, really just a few hours ago. All this stuff is fairly new, and so we're still trying to get our best story out about this at the moment with the limited amount of information that we have considering the recency of these stories. But not only that, within the city of Omsk, we also got to see that a refinery within Omsk exploded and began to burn. We don't know what actually caused the explosion at this refinery. This was what we believe to be out of range of Ukrainian drones, so if anything hit it, we wouldn't really have that good of a clue. We can also see the fire and the smoke enveloping a large amount of the refinery right here, and we can also see it from a local Gazprom gas station with some kind of a weird, extremely short, kind of Quasimodo style truck sitting here in front of the gas station. This thing is probably the biggest crime against truck design and truck trailer design that I've ever seen in my life. Probably worse than the oil refinery that's burning in the background, really. I mean, this is a bigger affront to anyone than that. But anyways, moving on from that, does seem as though that there may be a campaign either by Ukrainian partisans or by some other external power that's still once again trying to attack Russian oil refineries and knock them out, and hopefully their progress continues to go well, as the more refineries that are knocked out, the worse off the Russian oil and gas industry is, and the worse off their stockpiles are to be able to keep the entire nation running on into the future. We also got a little bit of additional information that there were some reports of explosions around the area of Tel Aviv. We have not been able to get a large amount of information about these explosions. We're assuming that they may be a part of the attacks conducted by Hezbollah, although we started to hear that they may be backing down already and may not be conducting that multi-day long offensive that we were hearing about a while ago. So we will be waiting to see how this one unfolds and what exactly happened with those explosions near Tel Aviv. But nevertheless, that is all of the breaking news that we have today. I've got to thank every single one of y'all so much once again for watching. If y'all did enjoy, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and support us on Patreon. Link in the description below. I got to give a massive shout out to all of our patrons who are currently there, because if it was not for folks like them, we wouldn't be able to make these kinds of video projects possible every single day whenever there's enough news. And so I thank you all so much once again for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.